Oh, hello there and welcome to my closet. Let me show you everything I've made for my wardrobe so far. So my plan for this year is to make everything I bring into my wardrobe, and over the years I've already made a few pieces. Do I love everything that I've made? Yes. Is it all good? No. I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of good. I absolutely love everything I've made because I've learned so much with my very limited experience, and it's given me the confidence to say, hell yeah, I can totally learn these skills, which is pretty rad. Before I get into showing you what I've already made, I do want to preface this by saying a few things. One, I've said it before and I will say it again, I am by no means a professional. I'm figuring this stuff out as I go along. Secondly, my process might look a little different than yours, and that's okay. For example, I don't use any pre-made patterns. I also don't have a dress form to drape onto. I basically just use my measurements and basic pattern pieces and figure it out flat on pattern paper, transfer that to the fabric, and come up with something. So you're gonna see some shoddy work, but I'm learning. Third, if you have any tips, techniques, or advice, please sound off in the comments because I would love to hear from you all. Okay, first off is this here piece. This is the first thing I've ever made. It is a 3/4 skirt, I believe, made out of a cotton flannel in this black and white square pattern. This is probably one of my favorite pieces, despite it being one of the first things I've made. It is a really great length and it has a lot of fluff and flow, and of course it has pockets. That being said, there is some seriously shoddy work done on this. I finished the seams and the edges of the fabric by hand, just stitching it all by hand. One of the things I'm proud of is this rolled hem, and that's pretty much the only thing construction-wise that's good about it. For example, you can see in the back here, this is supposed to be an invisible zipper. It is very much visible. I have no idea what exactly my thought process was in putting that in. Also, the zipper doesn't actually go all the way up to the top of the waistband. It's actually attached by 2 hook and eyes in the back here, so that's a little silly. The inside of this garment is a hot, stinking mess. And you'll be able to see, especially on the waistband, it's pretty kind of slapdash. But from the outside, which is really what I care about, it doesn't look too bad. Although moving forward, I do want to take more care in how I construct the garments. You might see a little bit of a theme with some of the pieces about me either getting frustrated or tired and just kind of throwing it together at the end. I'm going to try to avoid that moving forward. Next is this masterpiece. It's just made out of plain white cotton, but I drafted the pattern for this by hand and I made it fit to my bodice pretty well, and it has a nice little peplum. I really like this one. So it has a nice little collar and it is attached by bar hooks, I think they're called, on the inside and on the outside. There is a lot to love about this piece, but again, not perfect. I think if I was to make it again, I wouldn't make this peplum part so circular. I think I'd kind of like narrow it down a little bit. Also, I will say the one thing about the way that I made this pattern is I made the bodice too short. So it looks like my natural waist is up here, but it's actually like way down here, which makes this whole thing look wider than it needs to, which is a little unfortunate. Also, especially in the back, it ends right here, but my natural waist is all the way down here. So I learned my lesson about how I was drafting. I think I was drafting it kind of to like the highest point here, and I just went straight across instead of considering the natural shape of my waist. But even then, this sits up kind of higher. I also am kind of shoddy on the work on the armholes. They kind of are twisted a little bit. But besides that, I mean, again, the hem is looking good. The interior is not perfect, but it's really better than it needs to be, considering that it's not what's on display as I'm out and about. Next up is this cute little number. I really like this one. The pattern on the fabric is super adorable. This is again just a plain cotton. The details on the skirt that I like are these little pleats that I did in the front and in the back here, and then also I figured out how to do a button with this piece. Didn't know how to do a button, looked it up, turns out it's surprisingly easy, but you know, that's all part of the learning process. But also the pockets are a little bit different on this piece. Switched up the pockets on this one, so instead of doing like a side pocket, I don't know what this type of pocket is called, but just a different type of pocket. And this pocket is really big. Yeah, props. So this, you can see, is a pretty decently big water bottle, and it doesn't fit the whole thing in, but it fits a lot of it. Like, that's a pretty big size pocket, which is very, very nice to have. On this skirt, to finish the hem, I actually did a bias binding for the first time, so that was fun. The other hems that I did were just roll hems, so this is, again, trying something new. I kept this shirt on to wear with it because I think this combination is adorable. It gives it like a mod mid-century kind of look. Again, another kind of a swooshy, flowy skirt. This is, I think, a half circle skirt as opposed to a 3/4. So it's getting closer to the silhouette, which I like, which is more narrow in the hips and then flaring out down a little bit lower. On the back, you can see this zipper. I did a like little flap cover thing on the zipper, and then again the button in the back. So these here next pieces are two that I actually made together. I had an event, like a work event, where I had to wear all black, and I didn't have anything that was all black that wasn't athletic wear. So instead of going out and buying something, I said, hold up girl, why don't you make something? So that's exactly what I did. So this is how I wore these two pieces together. I do like this shirt tucked in. Making the two shirts that I've made, I realized that I like them best when I'm wearing something over them and high-waisted, which made me realize I think I just like a cropped end to my bodice piece. I like it to end right here. So moving forward, when I make tops, I think I'm gonna make a lot of them as like cropped, not intending to, you know, have like the cropped belly look, but most everything that I make for my bottoms would be high-waisted, so they meet in the middle. Okay, so I want to start with the skirt. This is a 3/4 circle skirt, I believe. I think it's partially because of how I did the pockets, but it sticks out really weird on the side sometimes, so I don't actually wear this that much. I will say something that I do like about this is I made this one with the belt loops, and I am very proud of myself because I've never done that before. So that's pretty cool. Again, the hem is just a simple rolled hem. Nothing too spectacular about that. I do like the way that the zipper turned out in the back on this one, and it has like a little bar hook here to hold everything in place in the back to kind of cover the end of the zipper there. So nothing too spectacular. Again, just plain cotton. Actually, everything that I've made so far is made out of cotton. The only variation is the cotton flannel in the first piece. Everything else is just some variation of cotton as well. I threw on a pair of jeans, so it's actually easier to see the shirt, so it's not black up against black. But I wanted to show you how I styled it for that work event a little while ago. So this, again, a sleeveless top. Sleeves are something that I still have to figure out. I did make one thing with sleeves, but I kind of scrapped it because there were other elements of it that I didn't like. But my future projects, I think sleeves are going to be an interesting puzzle to work out. On the last skirt that I made, I learned how to do buttons, and I said, oh, we do on buttons now, okay. So I just went bananas on the buttons all the way down. One cool thing that I did with this is for the buttons, to kind of like reinforce them, I added this interface lining here, but the way that I sewed it, it's like flapping in the wind a little bit, which is kind of odd. So I don't remember exactly what my full plan was. It's not something that, again, is noticeable from the outside of the garment. It doesn't show as I'm wearing it at all, whether I'm wearing something over it or not. So it's not really a problem. It's just something that I know. The last thing that I'll say about this shirt is I'm very proud of the way it fits. It's not super tight, it's not super loose. It's very comfortable to wear. One of the reasons why, the biggest reason why I wanted to start making my own clothes was because I wanted clothes that actually fit the proportions of my body. And yes, I can go get them tailored, but in sewing my own clothes, I also got to learn a new skill, which is cool. So for this here, you can see like the top of the bodice really does fit well in the front and the back. It contours pretty well to my body. Up next, I have this emerald full circle skirt. Again, made out of cotton, you guessed it. I do have mixed feelings about it. Half the time I put it on, I really think it's super cute and I love it. And the other half I put it on is, I don't know, I'm thinking, why the heck did I make this thing? Oh, and I'll do this so you can kind of see it a little bit better. But I think this is a skirt that made me realize the silhouettes that I like are more closely laying on my hips. And I think the reason why I'm so on the fence about this skirt is because it is a circle skirt, so it has more volume up here around my hips. But sometimes when I put it on, it lays flatter for some reason. I don't know, I'm still trying to figure that out. But this one, of course, just like every other skirt I made, does have pockets. It's very important to me. I did some pretty decent work on this skirt. The hem does have the bias tape and the seams are pretty good. I have a very vivid memory of finishing this skirt at like 3 o'clock in the morning and getting so frustrated and just kind of like calling it at the end of the night. And it shows. The waistband, for some reason I just didn't put it on in the right order, so it's pretty dang wonky. Also, I did remember to put the zipper on before the waistband, unlike the first skirt that I made, but somehow the zipper still doesn't go all the way to the top, so I had to finish it off with another hook and eye. Okay, I think I saved the best for last. This is my most worn and probably favorite piece that I've made. It's the longest skirt that I've made. And unlike the others where there's like a zipper that goes most of the way down or part of the way down and you just kind of step into it, this is pretty cool because it's like a wrap skirt situation. While this is my favorite piece that I've made so far, the making of it wasn't exactly super smooth. My original plan for this skirt was to have it, again, be a wrap, but to kind of like wrap all the way around. You can kind of see I went through the effort of like trying to even match up the plaid, but I put it on and I realized there wasn't enough floof and sway and swing to it, so I had to scrap that plan. Instead, I added these 3 gold buttons going straight down, and that gave it a lot more room. Of course, it does have pockets. This one also has 2 buttons on the inside to connect it here, and then 2 buttons on the side over here to kind of just add a little detail. And I really like the way this skirt moves around as I walk in it. I feel like, I don't know, like some Edwardian lady. The hem on this is again just another rolled hem. Since I didn't end up going with a wrap skirt situation, this does have 2 spots where I kind of like patched up where I originally had a buttonhole instead of having just 2 gaping holes in the side of my skirt. Nothing super fancy, but you can't really see it as I'm walking around, which has been a theme. If I don't mind it as I'm walking around, I don't think anyone else will see it. I'm okay with it for now. So, will I keep everything I've made so far? Probably not. I say I loved everything I made because I really did have a lot of fun making it. But still, some of it's not particularly well made and some of it's just not exactly my style. For the pieces I'm not going to keep as is, I'm going to see what I can make out of the fabric to make it fit a little bit better into my wardrobe. I actually have a project list that was made very intentionally, taking into account the fabric and materials, colors, silhouette, and also even including my personal style and my lifestyle. If you want to check that out, you can find the video where I went through that whole process here, and if you're interested in writing and storytelling, you can check out this playlist. I'm really excited to add to what I've made for my wardrobe, and hopefully next year I can come back and I can have a whole video full of pieces that I've made to add to my wardrobe that I really love. Until then, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I post videos about my upcoming projects. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace!